I'm John. And yeah, because I got tricks to show Trixie.
Hell yeah.
Cheers.
Gotta pop the top, Dave.
My brain is made of jellyfish mush. Oh, that's way worse, actually.
Woo! Is that your first time ever shotgunning?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I can tell it.
I'm trying to pace myself, but it's so delicious.
He needs that sweet.
I am actually
PBR
surprised.
nectar.
PBR is better than I remember.
I feel like,
Yeah.
was there a scene in Indiana Jones where in the Holy Grail one, where that old knight guy who guards the cups, does he ever turn to like dust and a skeleton at any point?
Yeah.
Is that okay? Good. That's what I feel like before I drink this beer, and now I'm thirst quenched. It did its job.
Good. Are you trying to knock all the carbonation out?
Yeah. And makes me feel like a gorilla.
Just flex
Silverback,
your pecs.
you know?
It's way easier. Like it's the flua of your esophagus.
The flu of your esophagus.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very foamy.
Can you tell us more about the Devil Apes?
Oh yeah. So in the early 1800s, apparently there was a few crashed train cars while they were transporting like certain luggage, and that luggage, part of it happened to be live monkeys for zoos.
Now, were these monkeys in a suitcase? You say luggage? Were they in the suitcase?
No,
or
they
were they
were
in like a
just-
boxcar? Boxcar. I see.
Yeah, and they crashed in the Appalachians. Now, no one's officially found evidence that they survived, but they know they're out there. And reports, as generations go on with limited numbers, there's certain traits in them that would certainly become more predominant. You know,
Especially inbreeding.
Yeah, inbreeding, because there's limited gene pool,
Yeah.
super selective genes.
There's no baboons here in America.
Yeah, no
that
baboons
cross-pollinate.
naturally, but say a few generations later, what
How
are they
many
going to live on?
Devil
in
Apes
these
are there?
scarce
Do you
woods?
know? Do you have a
No.
guesstimate by chance? How many started?
How many started?
Yeah, how many
there's-
escaped off
There's
the
probably
boxcar?
just a dozen.
A dozen. Okay. So,
But that's honestly a fairly
no, I know that's pretty.
That's really. I mean, they're
several but that's only a handful of generations. That's not even too bad.
You're right.
Given
1800s,
not many,
It's only been
but we
four.
also can't account for how many survived.
How long do baboons live? That's another factor to throw in there because it might be more generations than we might think. Just because I don't know
I'm
how
thinking
long
a
baboons
simple-
live, but they're small monkeys, so they probably live less than we do. But you were thinking,
At least 15, 20 years.
all right. So maybe
And
8 generations for them.
Which
and
is
do you
enough
think
time to also bring out those selective genes.
Absolutely.
That turn them into the Devil Apes.
they're gonna have the lack of a jaw like the Spanish monarch famously did?
Oh no.
That'd be crazy though. After a while, these things just turned into monsters, and they're out there roaming the woods.
When you say monsters, what do you mean? Like, what are
I'm
their
thinking-
monsteristic characteristics? Look at that truck. That's a cool truck.
Carnivorous.
Okay.
Omnivorous.
Are baboons not carnivorous?
They're omnivorous,
I see.
but they don't typically would hunt, unless it's a very small creature. But
Sure.
say
Well,
Yeah, look at that truck. That's crazy.
they're big enough and they're forced into a situation where they, have to get something bigger, say a deer.
Sure. What are their main predators? Does anything hunt them?
Well, not here in America.
Okay.
Nothing. I mean, especially
Not even
killed
like a
off
big
most
cat?
big cats and big bears.
Yeah.
And being that they were scared, they'd have predetermined fear of everything being in an unnatural land. Humans aren't natural at all.
No, of course not.
There's a lot of things that probably go under the radar because they see the human unnatural nature. The reason we keep horseshoes over our doorways was because fairies and stuff like that don't like iron. They don't like industrial industrialization.
Sure, no one wants
So
to
they
fuck
wouldn't-
with berries.
Yeah, so it was good luck to have it over your doorway because
like-
it kept them out. Things wouldn't go missing
Like the lamb's blood. With
because
the
like
whole
they're
Passover.
the tiny people.
It's in a
You
similar
know.
shape.
It is.
Speaking
Anyway,
of the
what
tiny
about
people, the native word for them was laurel.
Laurel.
And that's a very common word here through the very beautiful sections of the Appalachians.
Huh.
And things go
You're
hidden
right. We're right near Laurel River Lake.
Yeah.
We should. How long were you here, John?
Oh, that would be awesome. I don't know. I'm just here. There's a lot of stories about like the fairies and the natives and stuff.
Have you ever seen a fairy, John?
Oh,
Sorry.
no, but I've been fucked with by them.
Okay. Haven't you?
When I was a kid, I used to set traps for leprechauns on Leprechauns Day. And then one day I went to bed with my deck of Pokemon cards. Like I remember, like I went to go take it out. That night, it was my special deck. I had a bunch of cool cards, and I found it the next morning, like wet and waterlogged in my pocket of the pants I put on.
So,
Like after I set the trap for the leprechaun, it soaked my Pokemon cards.
in your pants.
Yes,
Were you wearing the pants?
that I went to go put on.
Okay.
I put them on, and then I found the deck of Pokemon cards I put away the night before. How the fuck does that happen?
I have no idea.
Right?
Really.
That blows my mind. That's the only thing I can describe as fairies to ever happen.
Have you ever
in my
seen
life.
the leprechaun?
I stopped setting traps for them after that.
What did you hope to gain from capturing the
A little friend.
A friend. Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any cryptids or monsters that you have seen?
That I have seen. Ghosts.
Oh,
How many
But I
ghosts?
wouldn't count them as cryptids or monsters.
Yeah. Sure,
I've
they're
met
just
people who've seen them. I actively have sought for them, but I haven't myself. It's
I
not so
am
interesting.
similar. I would like to see a ghost. I've not seen a ghost.
I have a
But-
friend of mine who claims to have proof of little people.
A little people.
Like the kind of people I'm talking about, the little fairy people.
I see it.
Here in-
There's one. But it's
Yeah, no, you wouldn't be able to see me.
What's the difference between, say, a fairy, a pixie, and a sprite?
Just
Well,
the
one's a
lore
soda.
and like their powers in nature, but like I feel like there's just kind of
What about the ones that you said
Just-
live in Illinois?
depends on the region you're in on what they call things really.
I see.
I kind of don't look into like the specifics of like what things are. I try to think of things with more of a blanket of what they possibly could be, which is why I say like the tiny people.
Yeah.
And they can vary in size, depends on the region, I'd say. Like when people were first settling in like farms in southern Tennessee, they were finding whole fields of tiny skeletons of like tiny people. Like they were in their graveyard digging them up. Yeah. So the theory goes that the plague kind of wiped them out, which
some
is why
kind
there
of
was
human
mass
plague,
graves.
like with the.
And
Have
probably
you seen
why they would have
people
secluded
skeleton?
themselves. Huh?
How do you feel about the big people skeletons? Have you seen those?
So-
Do you think giants are real?
I used to live out in Nevada, whole different set of, mountains.
Sure.
I want to talk about the cryptids here in the Appalachians.
Yeah, no.
Here, but the giants, they're real, and there's a guy currently filing a lawsuit against the Smithsonian for them denying the existence of the skeletons.
Huh. I'll have to look into that law case. That sounds fun.
But
Yeah.
back on your,
Because out in Nevada, they discovered the skeletons after the natives were like, hey, this is our lore, this is where we put all the skeletons from the giants that were terrorizing us. A whole tribe of them.
Look at that.
What?
It's like a bird.
yeah, there's
A turkey? Oh boy, it is a. I'm not sure what the hell that is. A buzzard?
So, yeah, they found the skeletons out there. But that's a whole other story. Here in the Appalachians, they have other giant creatures.
Like what? What's the biggest one?
Well, supposedly, there's Sheepsquatch that sounds pretty big.
Sheepsquatch?
But I like to implore the idea of giant sloths still roaming out there.
Right. Explain the giant sloths to me. How did they get here?
Sloths are native to North and South America. Just the ones we know of that are native to the North are extinct.
I didn't know that.
That possibly due to people. And there's a lot of certain kinds of fruits that went extinct alongside, or at least really diminished their areas of propagation due to the lack of these creatures. Like avocados almost went extinct due to us removing sloths. And then there's certain species like the pawpaw, persimmon. The pawpaw fruit?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know persimmon, but
There's a kind of tree that's near extinction in Florida right now that they think was only propagated by, they're not too sure what species, but I'm willing to bet it was a giant sloth. And I think, since down in South America, they dug tunnels to live in, here in North America, where we already have a lot of tunnels, we just haven't found them yet because they're still down in there.
Yeah.
More people go missing in areas around the tunnels than anytime there's a cave system, more people would go missing statistically in that area than any other area.
Absolutely.
So it stands to reason maybe they just get lost. Maybe there's something that doesn't want to be found. Say we pushed it to that brink, it's not going to want to see people. Its natural defense is going to be kill a person. Find it in an enclosed space, you're not coming back. Pawpaw fruits ripen real quick. With it, their shelf life is only 5 days, 3 to 5 days. Which is why you don't see them more often in stores.
So, do the giant sloths still move slow, or are they faster because they're bigger?
Well, it depends. The mid-sized ones, which were the size of bears, were really fast. The big ones were very slow still. Okay. But the big ones were 20 foot tall, the size of elephants.
Single file?
Yeah. Those are the real cool ones. I wish those were around, but I doubt it. Chances are we're in for a mid-sized one. It's probably person-sized and up. There used to be reports of, they have reports of them up in the north of the Yukon, giant sloth-looking creatures. And I bet as time goes on, with us, I bet with time, more things will come to light within these deep forests and ravines and valleys.
Yeah, especially with people wanting to spend more time.
America was the new world, after all. Who says we've found everything yet?
Much of the ocean is still unexplored. There's some weird-ass squids that we gotta find.
Recently, they just found a whole new species of deer in Vietnam. Do you know how many years we spent invading those jungles with a ton of people?
A lot.
From both sides? No one discovered it until recently? Come on. There's still something out there. I want to know what. There's always Sheepsquatch. We haven't talked about that yet.
What is Sheepsquatch?
It literally looks it stands upright like a bear, but it has a ram's head. And they can range from either being completely white or brown or black with these horns.
If you look just ahead of you, you can see the big
And
sign.
there's
for
a
very first KFC. It's the best KFC in the country. The only one I will really KFC ever. It used to be a motel court, which would have been a lot more fun than now. We could stay in the KFC.
It's Sanders Cafe. See, they have the truth right there. It's not KFC. The KFC label is over there. It's really Sanders Cafe. It doesn't even actually say it's the first KFC. It says it's the birthplace of KFC.
Ah.
Birthplace of Kentucky Fried Chicken. In 1932, Colonel Harlan Sanders bought the small restaurant near this site. Here he combined good cooking, hard work, and showmanship to build regional fame for his fine food. His restaurant and motel, now gone, flourished. To serve his patrons better, Sanders constantly experimented with new recipes and cooking methods. Here he created, developed, and perfected his world-famous Kentucky Fried Chicken recipe. In 1956, plans were announced for a federal highway to bypass Corbin. Threatened with traffic loss, Sanders, then 66, and undaunted, sold the restaurant and started traveling America, selling seasoning and his recipe for fried chicken to other restaurants. His success in this effort began the world's largest commercial food service system and made Kentucky a household word around the world. Presented by the innumerable friends of Kentucky's greatest goodwill ambassador. Hey, there's a different thing.
Wow.
Birth of a legend. It's not just the birth of Kentucky Fried Chicken, there's a legend that was born here. Kentucky's most famous citizen. Colonel Harlan Sanders began the part of his life that brought him fame in a small gasoline service station on the opposite side of this highway, somewhere over there. Born on September 9th, 1890 near Henryville, Indiana, he left school at 12 to support his family. He held a wide variety of jobs as farmhand, soldier, railroader, secretary, insurance salesman, and ferry boat operator until 1930 when he came to Corbin. Moved his family into quarters behind the station and started pumping gasoline. This was then a main route to Florida from the south. Traffic slowed during the Great Depression, so Sanders, who enjoyed cooking, augmented his meager income by selling meals to tourists. His food was liked, his reputation grew, and his career as a restaurateur began. I see I read these out of order. My bad. But yeah, and then there's a whole new thing.
I want you to notice how I put those drumsticks in. Put them in first while you get the benefit of the full 400 degrees and hold them for at least 30 seconds before you drop them on down into the fat. That sears the breading onto the end of the drumstick where the lean is, and also causes the skin.
John, did you want to tell us about more cryptids?
This could be a cryptid.
That cat could very well be a cryptid.
Let's think. One's here in the Appalachians. I got briefly into Sheepsquatch.
You did?
That's interesting.
Is that Sasquatch with a head of a goat?
Yeah,
Alright.
kind of. Like more like he's like bulkier, like wider, like more ripped.
Sure, climbing up mountains.
Thicker, yeah. And supposedly there's sightings all through like West Virginia, parts of like the Carolinas. And then there's a similar cryptid in the Ozarks, which leads me to believe like related, maybe?
Sure.
I don't know.
What's different about it?
The one in the Ozarks, they call more like a bear with horns instead of the Sheepsquatch.
Okay.
Then they also or like the Devil Cat or something, which is known as the Ozark Howler.
Cool name.
Which, you know, Sheepsquatch reports have also reported like a shriek, like howler. So, coincidence? Probably.
We're gonna cross
Oh yeah, we're
this
gonna talk
street.
about. Oh, I forgot one of the most famous cryptids. Mothman.
He's West Virginia, right?
Well, West
Wait, we're going that way?
Ohio. Point Pleasant.
Ohio. Okay. When was the last time someone saw Mothman?
Well, recently in Chicago, someone claimed to have seen Mothman, but that's outside of Midway Airport. But that's probably just a hoax. But made news anyway.
Okay, after this car, we should be good.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So I have an off-the-wall, crazy theory about Mothman that you won't hear from anyone else. So the theory goes The town where he's originally spotted was the town where they're also working on the nuclear bomb, the Manhattan Project. So a lot of the people who reportedly have seen Mothman came back with radioactive signatures. Right? Crazy stuff. Also at the time, the military was trying to work on like strapping mini fire bombs to bats so they can set Tokyo on fire. But instead, they went with, the bomb. The nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
Well,
I think the cat's a little
From-
young to be hearing about these.
Yakima, Washington, the natives tell stories of 6 foot, 8 foot tall owl people. Owls are
be dead.
flightless and would be able to fly over 100 miles an hour.
That's pretty cool.
Yes. Really? Sorry, I'm talking about these guys. I know they're spooky.
He's like,
They're not
"Owl
gonna
would
get
eat
you. So my theory is that these giant owls, actually do or did exist at one point, if we haven't killed them. And they found one and tried strapping a nuke to its back for a silent flight into Tokyo. Because that sounds like the exact thing the government would do.
Absolutely.
So that's my theory on Mothman. And that's why there's no other sightings of the Mothman creature, because it's not native to the Appalachians.
Sure.
It's native to Yakima Valley, Washington. But regardless, birds are migratory. Who knows? They still could be lurking in the Appalachians.
That they could.
Yeah.
How many do you think there are of these owls? When do you think they emerge?
Probably at night. They'd be. But the thing is, the real telltale sign is I think it's like the owls, the owl people, is Mothman's red eyes, because owls' eyes reflect red.
I didn't know that.
Makes a lot of sense.